Hello, my name is Buzz Shahan. I'm a recovered back pain patient. In that recovery, my back problem was not just treated, it was cured. How did that happen? How did my back return to full function following years of pain that finally resulted in surgery?
Hello, Dr. Spears again. Let's talk a bit more about the human back. Our chat this time begins with a short history lesson. Over the last 50 years, society has witnessed a great shift in lifestyle. Physical toil has diminished greatly. Machines now do much of the work for us. We now work less than our bodies require for healthy maintenance. This lifestyle change has occurred so fast that our bodies have not yet adapted. Since our bodies cannot adapt as quickly as technology progresses, we need to adjust our lifestyles to what a healthy body demands. Namely, we need to eat less and exercise more. We're all aware that automobiles are machines that need regular maintenance. The human body is also a machine, a biological machine, one with needs just as great as any other with which we are familiar. If a car fails, it can be replaced, but a body cannot. Whether our body succeeds or fails at good health becomes fundamental to the quality of life every person hopes to enjoy. Certainly, disease exists and must be guarded against with keen personal hygiene and efficient medical care. But threats to health exist greater than disease, and this is where we return to our discussion of lifestyle. Before we get into lifestyle, let's talk about the spine. The spine's mechanical structure is made up of three major components: the intervertebral discs, the vertebrae, and the spinal musculature. Reacting to nerve impulses and fed by the circulatory system, these components perform the biomechanical functions of the spine.
In my back history, a herniated disc became the cause for my surgery. But why did the disc herniate in the first place? I hadn't been in an accident, and I hadn't improperly lifted a heavy object. Something within my lifestyle allowed my disc to herniate. And if I had not identified what was missing in my lifestyle, the same problem that led me to the first back failure would lead me there again.
In a careful examination of what led up to Buzz's back surgery, it was discovered that his spinal muscles had simply weakened to a point that they allowed his spine to essentially collapse upon itself.
Leading up to my back problem, my lifestyle had gone from being athletically active to sitting all day at a desk. Knowing this now, it seems strange to me, even tragic, that not once in all my suffering and treatment was the condition of my spinal muscles ever measured. And in the biggest mystery of all, now that I know how the spine functions, nowhere in my medical history can you find one mention or measurement that would indicate whether or not my spinal muscles could adequately support my spine either prior to or following surgery.
What Buzz's doctors actually treated were the symptoms of his failing back, not the cause. Think about this for a moment. Even his spinal surgery only treated the symptom of his failing back, not the cause. The cause of Buzz's failing back, weakened spinal muscles, the symptom, a herniated disc. So the disc was surgically repaired, but the condition of his spinal muscles were never addressed.
With a second back failure 4 years after the first one, a second surgery was recommended. I had accepted the first surgery without questioning the process. With the suggestion of a second surgery and all that would mean, I demanded answers. And this is what I discovered.
Spinal vertebrae and discs are inanimate. Unless acted upon by spinal muscles, they simply remain at rest. Since spinal muscles animate the back, they play a tremendous role in spinal health. As it turns out, except in cases of direct trauma to the spine, spinal muscles actually control spinal health. How is that determined? So the question becomes, how are spinal muscles measured to know whether or not they have the strength necessary to fully support the spine? If muscle strength is lacking, how is it rebuilt? A simple and reliable test exists to measure the condition of spinal muscles. It is called the Spinal Erector Endurance Test. Before we begin testing someone's spine, I'd like to introduce you to the BackHealth Exerciser. This is how the exerciser tests the condition of spinal muscles. The person to be tested reclines face down upon the exerciser with hands locked behind the head and elbows extended laterally. This measures how long the torso can be suspended without movement. The slightest movement in the extended elbow signals failure. Time begins once back muscles are supporting the entire load. 3 minutes without movement signals a healthy back. 4 minutes signals a back capable of above normal use, such as heavy lifting or strenuous athletics. The key exercise for strengthening all spinal muscles is called the back extension exercise. In this exercise, the person relaxes over the patented cushion and lifts the torso smoothly and repeatedly. The muscle groups that lift the torso are the same muscles that are measured in this spinal erector endurance test. Notice the construction of the cushion, that during the back extension exercise, its forward curvature intercepts the lower abdomen. This patented design restricts movement in the hip joint and allows the lumbar region of the spine to stretch open. This stretch decompresses spinal discs. Remember back to the spine model. The discs are located between the vertebrae. Their purpose is to act as shock absorbers and maintain adequate disc space along the spine. If height is measured before and after the back health routine, a gain is noted. Where does this gain in height come from? It comes generally from expanding the intervertebral disc. How does such an expansion happen? Well, from the moment you get out of bed in the morning, the force of gravity begins pulling down on your torso. The force of gravity combines with the downward force of each step, causing spinal compression. Compression of spinal discs is measurable by simply noting one's height in the morning and at day's end, as we just saw. This daily compression accumulates over time. As a result of compression, disc space is progressively lost, and nerves that depend upon this disc space to enter and exit the spinal column may become pinched. Not only can pain result from a pinched nerve, but neural transmissions are compromised and athleticism and graceful movements suffer when disc space is lost. A fundamental component of spinal healing is to erase embedded neurological impulses from the nervous system that have resulted from each back pain episode. Full psychological facilitation requires at minimum 45 days of back health training. A second exercise of great importance is called the lumbar stretch. In the lumbar stretch, the handlebars are grasped and the body is lowered to slightly rest upon the main frame of the exerciser. From there, the hips are pushed back as far as possible. By pushing back with the thighs while gripping the handlebars, the spine is stretched between the shoulders and the hip joint in a more powerful movement than in the back extension exercise. The lumbar stretch forces the intervertebral discs in the lumbar region of the spine to forcibly decompress. Apart from countering the accumulating force of gravity, the disc depends upon decompression for nutritional intake. Unlike spinal muscles, spinal discs have little or no direct blood supply. They depend instead upon a process called hydration for nutrition. Like a fine sponge, the disc intakes this nutritious fluid when expanded and expels breakdown products when compressed. By accelerating this hydration cycle several times daily on the exerciser, healing also accelerates. Nature has taken great care to protect the spinal cord and has done so with the spine neutral reflex. This reflex is an automatic lockdown mechanism wherein, at the slightest threat, muscles surrounding the spine fixate and lock it into a protective housing to prevent spinal cord injury. As we age, or as our lives become sedentary, this reflex deteriorates. The braced push-up refreshes this reflex while it strengthens the shoulders, upper arms, and hand grip. We have just discussed some critical aspects of spinal anatomy and proper spine care. You now know how valuable disc hydration is. You know the importance of spinal muscle strength and of having perfectly coordinated lift dynamics. You have learned about the spine neutral reflex and how important it is in protecting your spine from further injury. You now have enough knowledge about your spine to effectively manage your back's health. I'm Dr. Greg Spears. Thank you for watching.